AI is incredible. It can research districts, summarize strategic plans, identify buyers, draft emails, write LinkedIn messages, prepare sales questions, analyze sales calls. But here's the question. If outreach is easier than it has ever been, why are so many education founders still struggling to get replies?
If education sales has you second guessing yourself, take a breath. This is a trust-first, relationship-driven market, and the old tactics, they don't translate. This show replaces guesswork with clarity and a customer acquisition system that builds a pipeline you can trust. I'm Josh Chernikoff, two-time education founder with 2 exits and a lead gen coach for companies in education. Through my ed sales elevation experience over the last 2 years, I've coached 210 companies to leads on repeat. In 2025 alone, I delivered over 2,600 hours of coaching to education companies. My co-host is John Gamba. He also has a successful exit, and now he's the Director of Innovative Programs and the Entrepreneur in Residence at Penn's Graduate School of Education. This is the only show dedicated to customer acquisition for education companies, so consistent listeners go from stalled deals to clarity, credibility, and a pipeline they can rely on. This is Ed Sales Edge, where education company founders earn their edge.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ed Sales Edge. We are going international on you guys today because John Gamba, my friend, my mentor, my co-host, is in Oxford, England. If you can see us on YouTube or you're watching the show that way and not just listening, while my background looks pretty cool in Northwest Washington, D.C., John's looks fake where he is. John, describe where you are, please.
It's going to be a little windy. I apologize. I'm sitting outside. Just finished up teaching here in Oxford. It's great. The city's amazing. There's an incredible buzz here with the World Cup. I hope it's not delayed because then it'll be really late here. But I've had a great week. It's awesome to be here. That is a real building behind me. It's Keble College. I'm going to keep it on mute because it's a little bit windy here and I don't want to distract everybody.
Well, we are theoretically a house divided, as you know, because you're in England and I'm here in my Adidas Argentina World Cup shoes. And my wife Bettina was born in Argentina. So this house is rooting for Argentina. What about you, John?
I'm secretly rooting for Argentina.
Okay, we are not divided then. We are just divided by the Atlantic Ocean. Although I know Alvin is from Nigeria listening and can cut us off, and he is rooting for England. But let's talk less soccer and let's talk more how education companies should use AI for lead generation, pause, without sounding like AI. That's the trick. We've got John in England, I'm here in Washington, D.C., and today we're talking about something that education founders and entrepreneurs around the world truly are thinking about. How do you use AI to generate more leads without sounding like friggin' AI? AI is incredible. It can research districts, summarize strategic plans, identify buyers, draft emails, write LinkedIn messages, prepare sales questions, analyze sales calls. But here's the question. If outreach is easier than it has ever been, why are so many education founders still struggling to get replies? And before I actually ask you that question, John, I'm going to bring it back to soccer. I was thinking about the great Lionel Messi, number 10 for Argentina. Messi has elite cleats, world-class coaches, video analysis, performance data, nutrition experts, technology, all of those things make him get better prepared for the games, including today's semifinal. None of them score the goal. Messi still has to read the field. He still has to make decisions. He still has to see opportunities before anyone else. And that's exactly how I think about AI. AI should be your equipment. It should never become the player. It should make you better. It shouldn't replace your judgment. I've said a lot, John.
You did, but I'm with
say a
you.
lot.
I'm with you. All of those things that AI can do, first of all, before we get into the soccer analogy or the football analogy, is true. You know, writing emails, doing research on districts. You're limited. You're only limited by the amount of AI you can leverage on a daily basis. But two things that I'd like to add, because I think the Messi analogy is really good. One is when you do all of those things in an integrated fashion. Like, I'm not a big fan of let's have the AI send the email, or let's let the AI craft the email, or I want an integration of all of it. So if I can do a sales call and have the AI analyze that sales call and automatically create a prospect proposal for a prospect based on the information, the insight, the guidance that's gleaned from the AI, I'm all in. But like you said, I think it should all be set up for the AI to do all the hard work, but then the human to actually trigger it to go out. So we used to say time-sensitive, event-triggered drips. And I think I'm all for automation of things. But imagine if we can get that all set up so I can just review all those things, change a word here or there, or check on the hallucination of the AI, and then send it out. So I'm not a fan of full automation. I'm a fan of leveraging AI for what it can do best, but having the human integration or the human intervention personalize and trigger the emails, the proposals, the things that AI may not be able to do so well, which is the personalization and the human touch.
I'll take it one step further. I agree with you, what you say about specifically the trigger. I like that. Here's the paradox. AI has made decent outreach pretty darn easy. Every company can research a district, summarize a website, write a personalized email, create follow-up sequences, but because everyone has access to the same tools, we know many of them, we're just seeing more outreach. Now, a lot of the messages sound alike, and many of us can spot when they're fake. Technically personalized emails, LinkedIn messages, wherever you're reaching out, doesn't mean emotionally memorable. Emotionally memorable is the critical part. So talk about that as this beautiful bird flies over your head and you bring us back to Oxford. Emotionally memorable.
Before we jump back in, I want to take a quick moment to thank you for being part of the Ed Sales Edge community. If you're enjoying this conversation or you found value in any of our episodes, please take a moment to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast app. And if you have a minute, leaving us a review or giving this episode a thumbs up on YouTube makes a huge difference. It helps more education founders and leaders discover the show and allows us to keep bringing you conversations like this. We truly appreciate your support. Now, back to the show.
How can we leverage AI to do quantitative activities, but still rely on ourselves to effectively do the qualitative elements well? So like you said, I don't like blast. Let's leverage our AI to increase the quantity of messages or quantity of outreach that gets done. Let's use AI to prompt and let's use AI to get to the point where we can do a better job to qualify leads, to qualify the outreach that's going out with a human personal voice. Because I do think that AI slop is out there, and I do think that more and more superintendents and decision makers have the ability to detect that you're utilizing AI. So what can we do to increase some of the dirty work, but decrease and support the personalized nature of a lot of the outreach that goes out to maximize the performance? At the end of the day, you want a response. At the end of the day, you want a warm lead. At the end of the day, you want to establish a meaningful connection with somebody who would buy your product. And I think AI can do that, but it has to be intentionally done, carefully done, sensitively done, not lazily done, which I'm seeing more and more of.
I think I have your answer, in that many of the founders that we know, especially in the education space, get this backwards. They think, what AI platform should I use? What prompt should I write? How can I automate more outreach? That's the wrong question to ask yourself. You and I know the first question to ask is, who's my perfect client? What's my credibility, and have I worked on it? Am I doing enough listening? Is my offer clear? And when you know those elements of your business and of yourself, you can then settle on a platform or a prompt, because that message is going to be so much more effective because of what you have discovered about yourself, or about your target, or about that superintendent, or about that teacher. If we go back to Messi doesn't put on his cleats and then say, now where am I going to play today? No. The match comes first. The equipment serves the mission. So that's the same thing here. And I think the answer to your question is that if the founders answer the foundational, fundamental questions about perfect client, have that credibility, have that offer down, then you go with whatever AI you want, because those things, in my experience, are pretty much commodities. You're going to be more effective, and you will avoid some of that AI slop. Does that sound like an approach?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think that's dead on. Let me be clear about what I meant in between wind blasts about the integration of the AI efforts that you're delivering. So I could have AI listen to a demo. I could have AI do an analysis of the 100 school districts that are within 40 miles of a raving fan client that I have, prepare templated emails that leverage the raving fan status with that district, and then have AI analyze the district notes of those schools or those school districts that are working on science of reading. Now that's an advantage I can get from AI that cuts through a lot of time, that cuts through a lot of clutter. But I haven't just said, AI, now blast out the email. AI can tell me who are the 14 districts that have invested in science of reading that would be impacted by the success that we've had in Parker Smarter Balance scores at this district as a result of using science of reading. That's a lot of research that the AI can do to put you in a position to be able to get a personalized email out to a qualified lead. Does that make sense?
100%. I'm probably, this won't surprise you. I'm more on a little bit of sending more emails out than narrowing it down to those 14 districts, but I certainly respect the approach. Right now, Alvin, who wears a lot of important hats on our team, and I are working on, well, I should say, he's working very closely on Claude Code. And we're in the process of figuring out how we can work together so that he can send reports and follow-ups after conversations with new clients or people I'm coaching, that he can prepare those and that he can send them without me nitpicking them because that's what I do as a founder. And so we're trying to find the balance there, and they are created through AI. And I appreciate the work that Alvin does. We also have to keep working together to get those things right.
I also think, Josh, it's AI is not a one size fits all, right? You may think that blasting is a little bit more effective, and if you get 4 leads from 1,000 blasts, that's effective, and that wouldn't be wrong. I may think that I want to get to the 6 most probable people that will lean in, and if I get one of those 6, that's a hell of a lot better than 1 out of 1,000. Where I want to get 3 out of 18, and at the end of the day, you want 3. We both got 3, but we may have gotten there a different way, both utilizing the power of AI. So I want to make sure the audience understand there's no one way to do it, but I do think that there's an unavoidable process or step, and that is the signature solution, right? That is making sure you understand who is the target audience, why would they want the product or service that you're selling, and then let's get to the targeting, whether that's more of a qualitative approach using AI or a quantitative approach using AI. Doesn't matter. Those are unavoidable steps that you need to go through.
You're exactly right. Both are right.
And this is exactly why we've been building the education sales entourage, because a 90-day plan is helpful. But a 90-day plan inside the right room is much more powerful. You need a place to bring your questions, your target buy, your offer, your messy message, the thing you keep circling but haven't acted on yet. That's what the entourage is becoming, a working room for education founders. So if you're already inside, use the room. And if you're not yet, go to school.com/entourage. All right, back to the show.
Here's one thing that we can absolutely 100% agree on. That AI can do research, it can organize, it can summarize, it can prepare briefs and repurpose content. All of those things, easy enough. What AI can not do and should not do, especially in the education space, is be asked to build relationships with people. Relationship building is what we have to do as human beings. And working through my script and our show with Alvin, we had a good example that our AI, who we call Max, came up with. Max wrote, "Don't tell someone your district is clearly struggling with teacher retention. Instead, you should say, I noticed teacher retention showed up several times in your strategic plan. How is that challenge showing up for your team today?" One is a conclusion, the other is curiosity. The latter is what starts conversations and builds relationships. We have to always be the ones building the relationships. AI can give us the data, the insight, help us write. At the end of the day, it comes back to us. Yes?
100%. Said it perfectly well. Agree 100%.
Cool. John, why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing in Oxford? It's a good time to pause for a second. Talk about the work you're doing there and anything that's going on back at the HQ, University of Pennsylvania, and the city of brotherly love.
Yeah, we have a great partnership here with Keble College at Oxford University and Pharos Education. Pharos has relationships with private schools around the world, and they aggregate and they come together in community, those high school and early college students at incredible destinations. Last October it was Milan, Italy. This year it's here in Oxford. We're going to be in Shanghai. We're going to be in South Korea. And we're teaching the principles of entrepreneurship to late high school, early college students in a hands-on, project-based, experiential way. Students learn the principles of entrepreneurship through the lens of team building, product development, market development, and finance, based on that underlying understanding, those foundations, they then go into building a business of their own through a lean canvas methodology, and then working on their pitch perfect presentation. So for the last 2 weeks, we've been working with 20 students from Russia, Uzbekistan, Ukraine, Turkey, UK, Italy, and they've come together, worked in teams. Some of the things that they've been creating are game changing. There's a lot of AI powered solutions that they're coming up with, but man, are these kids smart, and are they thinking about the world through the lens of AI and machine learning. It's just an unbelievable honor to be entrusted with their teaching and their learning, and just made some really incredible relationships here. And it all comes back to the work we're doing at Catalyst at Penn GSE to advance innovation and impact in worldwide education, whether that's through our Milken program, through our Catapult Virtual Accelerator, and now through this Pharos program of teaching the principles of entrepreneurship through a project-based social learning modality.
Beautiful. John's challenging people from both sides of the Atlantic. We are trying to challenge people through this show. I have one request of our listeners is don't necessarily hear this show and go back to automating everything. It'd be interesting to take one message, and we've done this ourselves. Take one message. Yes, use AI to improve the research. Yes, use AI to tighten the writing, to shorten it. But then finish it yourself. To John's point, before the email goes out, make sure you get it. Make sure you look at it. Make sure it's there to build relationship with the person that you are sending it to, whether it be a superintendent or a teacher or a parent or whoever is your perfect client. Don't just use AI to send more messages. Use AI to make one message more deserving of a reply.
Quick pause before we wrap. This is the work we help founders do inside the ed sales revenue machine and the education sales entourage. Get clear on your perfect client. Tighten your offer. Build the right relationships. Create the rhythm. And stop guessing alone. If you want the simple planning tool from today's conversation, text 90 days to 7713334-233. We'll send you the 90-day Founder Challenge. And if you want the room where founders are doing this work together, go to school.com/entourage. All right, let's close this out.
And if you're getting conversations started, but struggling to turn those conversations into paying clients, on July 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern, I invite you to our latest masterclass. And I say latest because we're going to be doing more masterclasses more often, especially as our free community, the Entourage, has now crossed over 700 people, John. We have 700 people in the Entourage.
It's amazing. Congratulations. That's really a rapid growth. Clearly, you're delivering a positive or a great service and making a positive impact on those who are in the Entourage. It's really no surprise. I know a lot of the people that are part of that community and how much these tools and teachings mean to them.
Yeah, thank you. It's really turning into a really wonderful community that we're very proud of and bringing people together. People can turn their summer into their next 3 clients inside the Entourage. And if you show up on July 23rd, that's what we're going to work on. Let's get you your next 3 clients, or even 3 more clients or 30 more clients. The registration link is going to be connected to this live. John, I hope you're going to find time in the greatest pub in all of England to watch the game today. Yes?
Definitely. I'm going to the Jericho section of Oxford, which is really cool. It's owned by Oxford University Press. They won't be partying in the streets. I won't be because I'm teaching, and I'm really careful about that. also, as you know, dry, which stinks because I love myself a great IPA and a great draft beer, and the pubs here are like a dream come true. So it's very hard, to be honest with you. I'm challenging myself, but it's the right thing to do. Super focused. The time zone is crazy, so I'm up at 3-4 in the morning working on my lesson plans, but I'm out there and I'm in community with a lot of people. I want to share one more thing before we kind of wind down and go. I often think in this show and in this community, you know, we talk kind of fast and we make some assumptions, but there's probably at least one or two members of the community who have not tried AI at all. And we just talked about things like automation, and we talked about, I would suggest that somebody go to Gemini on their Google browser and tell Gemini a little bit about yourself as a founder, what your product does, and write out a prospective email to a signature client and ask Gemini how you did and could they write another one for you. And I would be willing to bet for people who are just coming into AI that the perspective on the tone of the email from AI will be better than a crafted email itself. And then keep refining the email and saying, how is this? How is this? How is this? Rarely have I seen AI write an email in the voice that I want to be heard. And so have that conversation with AI and have that conversation with Claude or Gemini or Copilot, whatever you want to use. But don't rely on AI to write it for you. Rely on AI to continue to provide perspective and context on what you're doing as a founder. And then come back to Josh and I and let us know how that worked for you.
Yeah.
It could have really interesting an interesting impact for those who are still early on in the game.
Yeah, it's a wonderful point. Maybe they're early on, maybe they haven't started. One of the things that I suggest for people, and I think that you use the word perspective, I always think of it as pitching and catching. You know, that you're having a conversation like you said, and so if you have been hesitant, and so certainly words like automate aren't necessarily where you are in your AI journey, to John's point, go there and refine and refine and refine and have that conversation. Thank you everybody for joining us on the Ed Sales Edge.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Ed Sales Edge. Thanks for joining us. If you sell into education, the goal of this show is very simple: to help you stop guessing what actually moves deals in a system where trust matters. If you want to go deeper, join us inside the Entourage, our private community for education founders and operators selling into schools. You'll see the details in the show notes. If this episode helped you think more clearly, that's great. Subscribe, like it, and share it with another founder in the education space. Until next time, get clear, build trust, set up a system for sales, and keep earning your edge.